Hello guys, this is Alex Kloskov, photographer who help other photographers to achieve their goals. And this is my critic and review video session, which I record to get feedback, to get my feedback on Photigy forum submissions. There is a forum called Submit Your Shot for the Review, and all Photigy member community photographers can contribute their answer. Basically, it's collaboration on providing the solutions and suggestions, and just another point of view to our fellow photographers. And this is how we do it. Okay, so before I start, why I sit in the studio, I kind of want to make this little announcement about webinar. We had this online webinar a week ago, right, last Friday, and it was great. We got many, well, it was at least 150 people or around 130, well, not sure. We got 130 questions, I think, and it was much more people joining us. And I got really good feedback, so thank you guys who sent me your feedback about the class in terms of how to improve it, what did you like, what did you not. And well, obviously the testimonials are a great thing to receive, and I appreciate it. And I did some changes in preparation to our next webinar. And you see, I got 3 webcams instead of 2. So I'm not going to move them. I remember Thomas told me that it's kind of moving camera during the shot may not be, a good idea, and I kind of agree with this. So we got 3 cams. One cam is this, which will be, well, frontal cam, right? We can make it a little bit higher for the webinar, but in general it will be in this place. Another cam, you see this bar, which is going from this. It will be right on top of our shooting area. And one more cam is a little bit behind on the side. So let me jump, I'll show you. This is our top cam, right? Camera will be obviously here, and you'll see the whole lighting setup. We can easily go up and down if needed to show more close-up shot, more close-up view for this. Then this is a side camera, right? It's a little bit from behind and on the side, and we can always combine them anyway. This is 2 views without frontal cam. This is 3 cameras basically, right? Yeah, kind of cool. And as well as we can have desktop sharing like this or like that. So it will be even better experience, and I'm looking forward to run a second webinar in probably 3 weeks at the end of April. I already have many suggestions on what to do on that webinar. I'm going to collect them and create a pool on Photigy, and I will ask you guys if you can vote for the pool, so we'll have even narrower selection. Because you see, I need to make sure that it's interesting for you, the shot. And obviously it should be interesting for me, because that's kind of how it will be interesting for you, only through me. So I'll select from what you already suggested and what I have in mind. I'll select the pool questions, and then we'll select, with your help, the winner. The winner meaning the shot which we're gonna do in 3 weeks. So stay tuned. Okay, now I'm done with my announcement, and let's go to the critic. This is a forum, submit a shot for review, right? That's what I use, and I already opened all these little topics, not little by little, just topics. So we can review. Okay, first from Ben. Kind of simple lighting setup. You see white background, kind of well, I hate this word, I cannot pronounce it. I just didn't get in my mind. Anyway, the psych White background with some food and drink. And Ben, you see, like Flo, Flo already gave you pretty good basically feedback. That's what I'm almost going to repeat about the white background. If it's white, it's supposed to be white. It should be white. You see, we clearly see that it's not white, and it's basically not even just gray, because white balance is off. So first set right white balance, and even if it's okay, make sure the background is white. Cut it out in Photoshop and you know, make it bright, white, whatever, because this kind of shot it's on white. The second thing is a little bit unclear. The food itself, you know, what is in that spoon? I understand that it's probably something really tasty or maybe healthy, or maybe both, tasty and healthy, but you know, it looks kind of a little bit weird and strange, almost like somebody spilled. Sorry, but I can't help it. That kind of thing, a little bit strange food. But again, we talk about photography, so we should be completely fine with food. You know, basically, I'm not saying it's bad or good, it's just my observation. The composition, you see, you don't have any diagonal things going on. It's like this, which probably not the best idea. I would shoot it, I would rotate the glass with that spoon, rotate it a little bit, so spoon will go a little bit more diagonally on the screen. Okay, and yeah, maybe a little bit from top, maybe a same angle, just to see how it will look on the spoon. This way it will be, I think, better compositionally. Then the lighting, actually you got pretty good lighting in terms of, well, looking at your subjects. And oh, by the way, like Flo said, suggested to you how to get white background without much of Photoshop work. You need to separate subject from the background. So, for example, for this shot, I would use, well, there are several solutions, but probably easiest, get some very narrow, like stand with little plate, so you can put the glass on it with all the stuff on top, and you will have basically no table underneath, right? It will be just little plate to put the glass. And then get exactly the same background, like, I don't know, 5 feet away. You can blow that background, it will be all white. And you still can control the subject. You can surround it with black screens on both sides, and it will be actually relatively dark. And it will look, well, it will look cool. It will be much easier for you. So separation for white and clear on white. Make sure you separate the subject from the background. Physically separate, okay? And well, about the lighting on the glass, I don't know, have you seen or not those, well, you're not my student, and if you're not in ProCorner, you won't see you didn't see the lecture on how to shoot that clear glass on white background. I have. But you did it right. I see you use some black screen, so you got these reflections, dark reflections on the sides, on the edges of the glass, and basically good reflections, dark reflections on the spoons or forks. Yeah, spoons. But I think because of this shape of the glass, I need to be a little bit more careful and work a little bit more on those reflections, because now they look not even. I mean, all the different from one side to another, and it doesn't look good. You know, it will be much better than it will be symmetrical reflectors for the glass. So it will be right side will look exactly as similar as left side. Okay. So this is it. Background, position your subject, and well, talking about food. It's hard to see what this food is about, maybe a little bit different angle, but it's it's tricky shot, right? When you have glass, when you have silverware, and when you have food. And obviously, to do it with 2 lights only, it's kind of really tough job. So you did it good, considering to lighting sources you have. The only thing which you can definitely easy to do better, background separation. Okay? Thank you, Ben. Welcome to Photigy, by the way. Well, I'm always glad when new people, especially people who can, shoot and passionate about, this kind of stuff. I was glad to see them joining Photigy, so welcome. And thank you for submitting your work. Okay, okay, next shot. Next shot from Paul. Okay, first watch, right, Paul? This is first watch you did, and let me open it. It looks good. It looks pretty good. I like those shadows, highlights. I already told you on Google Plus, right, that I would probably make some of the shadows a little bit darker. But in general, it's kind of cool. There is nothing wrong with how you get the bracelet, all these glossy parts. Few things which I would improve here. I will work a little bit more on the watch face, that blue circle. Basically, it looks flat, and I think we lost a little bit of definition there. Even though it kind of looks cool, we have, nice edges and highlights and dark areas on the arrows. But I think it's cool when you have a first little reflection somewhere on the glass. Because now it's like it has transparent glass, which is fine. I've seen many great photographers doing this, kind of shots. But I personally like when we have a little, little highlight on with little reflection on the glass. You've seen it. I was posting it on Google Plus, right? Let me quickly go there. Yeah, 19 people on Photigy, which is cool. In last minutes or last 30 seconds. So I'm talking about this shot I posted. Yeah, you see talking about these little areas here and here. I did it for purpose. I had a light touching that piece of reflector to get the reflection on the glass. So it will be visible that there is glass on the watch. Because, well, I can show you here, but that's... 1 second. I'm going to open it. Because without that reflection, it looks a little bit flat. So again, this watch, which we were talking about, and I already recorded the video, and post-production will be soon, so I'll post it on the Pro Corner, hopefully. So you see, like this, without much light on the face, we still have these highlights. Without highlights, let me try to find how it will look, watch like this without any highlights on the glass. If I have it, I think I had it somewhere at the very beginning of the shot. I kind of was playing. Well, it's hard to find. It's hard to find too many shots. Well, I probably have it. Well, it's kind of close to this, right? But again, I selected the angle when we see the glass actually. I kind of rotated it a little bit. Anyway, you got the idea. I don't have, probably I start shooting with that little touches on the glass as well. So this was one thing which I kind of would do differently. I may select a little bit different angle, a little bit from the side, but again, I think it's like this, it's good too. Another thing, the background. I did a little play with it. No, not with this one, not with this one. You see, basically I did, I attached new background, and let me fill it with where I can... I'm completely lost. Okay. So that's how it was, and I think it was, well, on the black background. Maybe you need to add some bokeh kind of lights, little pieces, you know, floating all around, or maybe, maybe create gradient feeling like this. That's what we did, and we kind of like it. So, you know, you can always change the gradient to look kind of more interesting. Okay, it's just an idea, because on this black background it's a little bit detached from it. Okay, thank you, Paul. It was pretty good, especially for first time. Actually, you're doing really good job on everything you do, which is cool. Okay, next shot. Cortis. Cortis got some huge jewelry piece, and Cortis, it looks cool. I like the reflections. My biggest concern is that the crystal, the blue crystal you have, it looks like you applied that filter which smooths the metal, right? That Genius showed the technique how to smooth metal, but you shouldn't apply it on the crystals. It kills. The crystal look like it's very cheap plastic, you know, kids, you know, crystal from kids, from children's ring. We lost that edges, we lost sharpness, we lost all this thing when you did it. So, well, this is my guess, maybe you did somehow different, but somehow you smooth it too much. We usually, for the crystals, we do opposite, and for the big ones, you need to, obviously, you may need to smooth it, but not on the edges of the facets, right? Edges, don't touch it and make it actually even more sharper. It's kind of tricky, but that's what I obviously asked Genia's opinion on this, because it's purely post-production. The shot itself looks cool. I mean, the lighting, I think. So she told me that that's the very first thing you should sharpen a lot and be careful blurring the gemstones. These nice little ones, they look cool. I would make it a little bit brighter at some point, but you see, you have lost somewhere this definition, some lack of details in some of them. But in general, if you kind of make it a little bit smaller, it will look cool, because this is kind of huge crop, right? I don't know, did I do anything? Yeah, I checked in Photoshop how it will look like just on smaller scale, a little bit. And like this, it looks much better, just because that's how we see it on the web. Okay. Another thing for post-production, you see how we did this nice, you enhanced those shadows you have on the bottom of the ring? It's cool. You need to do the same for all edges. This edge, is it visible? Where am I cursor? Hopefully so. You can draw that black line all the way to here. You can do also for this line, right? To make it a little bit, first darker, and second, you know, much cleaner, because it's blurry. You get too much blur on the edges on those lines. Make sure that, well, we usually do when we have this layer where apply some kind of blur, we paint over this layer to kind of make visible only areas where, without touching basically the edges, right? You don't touch edges and you not blur them. So be more careful on doing this. And again, this, you see here on the left, we lost a little bit something. There is no, like, too smooth transition between the ring and the background over here. Here it's fine. Okay, so that kind of thing with edges will help, you know, to bring more contrast and more polished look. Okay. Yeah, I see how we did this watch and how we did that ring with large diffusers. I see. I would probably will use, instead of strip boxes, I would use the spotlights with grids, especially for the ring. but you got some good good highlights and shadows using those strip boxes. With spots, you may be able to get a little bit of more contrast where it's needed. But again, it's not even suggestion, just how I would do it. So thank you, Curtis. Okay, Paul, you again. You said you didn't like it, and yeah, I see why you may not like it. And in general, oops, sorry. Okay, I'm starting over. Paul, again, that's Paul Whittingham shot. And Paul said that he didn't like completely this shot for various reasons, but and I see why you don't like it, and I don't like those kind of things too here. I think it can be improved. First, you kind of it's too flat, right? You don't have much of the definition and volume of that the bottle. Those lemons a little bit too bright. And well, this is basically it. I have I did little play in Photoshop with it, and you see what I did. This is your shot, and this is after my post-production. I'm going to post it on the review, the image, so you'll see. So let's see what I did here. Is it visible? Not much, because of my head being stuck. So let me show you like this. So I did three layers, 3 adjustment layers, 2 curves and 1 levels. One curve was turned to be dark and one to bright. So I'll brighten some parts of the bottle and I darkened some parts. Obviously, I brightened the middle of it and I darkened edges. You see, this is where I darkened it. I darkened edges and the lemons, actually these lemons, I can even do a little bit more by using the brush and paint over some lemons, even to make them a little bit darker even more, and bottle, right? And then what I did, I did the same, but I brightened it, that layer where I have levels, turn it to bright. So you see, I brightened the middle of it. This is what you had, and this is what I did. This is what you had, this is what I did. Let me turn off. Okay, this is what I did. This is as is image, you got it. And well, it looks like I darkened it for some reason. Oh, no, I brightened it. This is yours, this is mine. Okay, so I brightened the middle. I darkened the all areas. And then the last level is levels. And I added the contrast. Well, I added black. You see? In this case, I think it will look better. Okay, so if you can do some stuff with the lighting, you can always do it during the post-production. Dodge and burn, basically it's dodge and burn technique, but because we do it on separate layers, we can easily adjust it after our job is done by changing the property of this adjustment on the level, on the layer, or changing opacity, or well, all kind of stuff can be done on this. So thank you, Paul. Yeah, let me see how we did the shot. Yeah, I see the lighting setup. I would definitely think about putting black screens on both sides. So you can do the same thing in the camera. Darken edges by putting 2 black screens. Okay. So thank you. Let me go to next. Okay, Curtis. Again, glad to see you work as usually. Great stuff, Curtis. And nice watch. I like the highlights. I like the face. Pretty contrast. nice. We see the glass because it's thick, and we see this little faucet on the edge of the glass. I would probably try to add this same thing which I told to Paul, to add on somewhere on the corner a little bit of highlight, you know, the reflection. But again, it's not, I think it looks really cool without it here, so it's not like something which I would do. I mean, would say that it's must to be done. No. Things which I would improve is, you know, little stuff like for example, like this area, right? What this reflection is came from the black one. If you couldn't fix it in during the shot, fix in Photoshop because it doesn't belong there. It's not part of the watch, and it doesn't look sexy. Because you see, when we shoot in glossy stuff, we add black reflections, right? Dark reflections. And we add bright reflections. And photographer's idea to make it look well, better in real life than in real life, right? So things like this doesn't make it look better. For example, things like here at the bottom, that look sexy. This little nice line and transition between bright and dark. Maybe a little bit brighter here, but again, it looked cool. By the way, where we lost the color here, why we lost the color? I think it should be all gold, right? Somehow it turns to silver here, I'm not sure why. Anyway, it just... questionable area here. Wow, jump it a little bit. This bottom of the composition of the subject, where we have FGB. Interesting. That's kind of, I understand that this is reflection from the wristband, but maybe some post-production, you know, to make it look interesting, and maybe, well, I would definitely ask my retoucher, or in this case, you probably did it yourself, to do something there, to improve it. Then, well, this is probably it. This side looks cool. We have a texture where it needs to be done. We have a darker and brighter area. We have nice highlight going on here, and you see the gradient on the side. Looks cool, really cool. So I like it. I like it. Maybe a little bit clean up over here in post-production, of course, because it's all reflections from the wristband, from this stuff. I don't know, it looks like that top wristband goes a little bit up. If you try to bend it so the watch will be on top, and then, you know, the wristband won't go like this, but will go all the way down, maybe it will look, it will throw less reflections and it will look a little bit better. Okay, just a suggestion. Yeah, you see how we made it? Yeah, maybe you need to bend this wristband a little bit more. Not sure. Anyway, cool, sexy. Like this shot. Thank you, Curtis. Let's move to the next one. Okay, X deodorant from Maxim. Maxim looks cool. I like how you got the bottle. Basically nice, and we have the shape. It's not flat, which is great. It's a little bit kind of gives the idea that it was pure composite shot, because that sprinkler, or how you call it, that little exhaust on top of the bottle, turned it to us, towards the camera a little bit, but the stream of that whatever is coming from it, it's kind of going all the sideways. So it's a little bit, you know, in the head it's always like turning, boom, something is not right in terms of physical, you know, interaction here. This is the first thing I would kind of question. Maybe you need to turn that exhaust a little bit side, so it will be like, well, more real. Then the table, I don't like this white. Well, it's not even white, it's more like, it used to be white, but with given white balance and lighting, it's not white, and I think darker table will look much better. Let's say some glossy black plastic, who knows, or maybe something really dark like gray matte, maybe it will look better, because you see, you have top dark and then brighter, and then this halo, and then something which, what is that? Imagine that it will be dark again, almost similar color like here, for example, like on top. In this case, we will see that halo better, and if it would be glossy table, it may reflect part of the halo on a black glossy surface. It will look kind of cool. So you got the idea, right? I mean, you understand what I'm talking about. And this shot is kind of more interesting, obviously. A lot of digital, manipulations. Kind of look cool, but again, I'm not a big fan of this background. But I think it looks better than previous one. It's more interesting. About this spray coming out, I don't know. It's more like art, an art. So I wouldn't comment. I mean, I'm saying this shot I like better than previous. It's more interesting. Just maybe this area is most questionable for me. Okay. So thank you, Maxim. Yeah, the lighting setup. You got this gel, so it was pretty cool shot, as I see. Thank you for posting lighting setup, of course. And guys, that's, well, you know it. If you watch this first time, remember that the rule, anyone can submit work for the review, but we need to share the lighting setups and explain how we did the shot, okay? So, thank you, Maxim. Let me jump to the next one. Okay, Thomas. Thomas submitted this nice bottle. It's little. I don't know why it's so small. Maybe it's how forum compressed it, which is kind of not good because the bottle looks really cool. I love this bottle. Oh, it's not your shot. Okay, I see now. Sorry. Wow. Yeah, that's what we're trying to achieve. By the way, I was already critiquing this. Talking about this bottle, it looks, like I said, really cool. The only thing I would do a little bit, well, I adjusted the top of the bottle where it's supposed to be white. The screwing thing and all this metal. I would make it a little bit brighter. Leaving those highlights and shadows just will make it a little bit brighter. That's what the only thing. But yeah, bottle is cool. And you did it, and you see, there is a quite difference between what you did, right, and what you are trying to achieve. Let me see the lighting setup. Where is the lighting setup? Oh man. It's, I'm telling every time that I don't like this kind of lighting setups. It doesn't give me much of the ideas of, because in general, yeah, I understand how it was done, but to give you that feedback, oh, you need to move that light a little bit here and there. I need to see the real stuff because I can't tell you what was wrong by looking at this, but let me try. So, on this shot, you see this reflection. This is reflection from the diffuser on the left of the bottle. It was a diffuser, and it was a softbox behind it. And he created a gradient on the diffuser, pointing softbox a little bit on the sharp angle. I mean, hitting the light from that strip box. It was strip box with sharp angle. So it was like a bright area and then goes to darker. The gradient on the diffuser, and that what was reflected on the bottle. Do you have something like this? No, you have this polyboard on this side, and that's why it kind of look flat. You have two boards from both sides of the bottle, and you don't get volume doing this. Instead, you need to put that light, which you have two lights, and you put all of them on the white background, which is kind of cool. You need to have additional light, or let's say use only one light for the background, making it somehow, to highlight the whole thing. I would probably use it behind the translucent paper, plastic. So behind the background, it's easier to highlight the whole thing with one light, if you have it behind. And then the second light I will use to create that kind of reflection. Basically, you can get this shot with two lights. One behind, one on the left through the diffuser with strip box on it. And yes, you can always have black cards from both sides, in addition. Okay, so that was my feedback. Yeah, this is a little bit better. I don't know what you did. Photoshop. Yeah, you can paint in Photoshop. You can do this stuff. It still won't be as good as this shot, right? But this is definitely better in terms of, you see the volume. You see that it's bottle, it's not the flat thing, right? So, please shoot your real lighting setup. I understand you may not have it because you didn't do it during the shot, and the shot was done some time ago. So, but still, it helps. It helps to all our community and to you when you get you show the real lighting setup. So thank you, Jaco. Okay, next shot is Maxim. You. I can tell you, yeah, I remember that we talked about your previous shot, and it was an assignment, and I showed you build a hill walk, right? Cahill. And you see this light, this shot, I don't like this flame thing. It's not kind of, I don't know. It's kind of look cool, but it's not really working well, in my opinion, because we don't have any reflection from it on the watch, and it's just, you know, separated. This look a little bit better, but again, you see the main issue here that first, two main issues. The angle, I understand that's how you like it. I don't like the angle. It's like, you know, half of the subject. This is one thing, and another one is that it's too bright to be placed on such black background. It's kind of, you see that it was surrounded all with white, and you place it in the black background, mainly black. It's this area, you see they look gray, but it's supposed to be much darker, and we don't have much edge. We have edge here, you see the rim light. We lost it here, so it's kind of a little bit plain, even though we have gradient, but it's not dramatic enough for that background, for that dark background. Okay, and I like, well, yeah, same here, it's just floating. I like this much better in terms of angle. But here it's a little bit opposite. This side is too bright, and this is too dark, basically. And we don't have any rim light. You see, we're losing definition. We don't see the glass shape here. And I would definitely think how to get the rim light somewhere from behind, lit it from somewhere from behind to get that little nice edge. Well, it will change a lot if we'll get edge. But this angle much better. Okay? And if you have that kind of bright thing, think about maybe add some spot on the background, some, again, gradient. You remember how I did it for Paul Whittingham, the watch? When I placed with that bright watch, I placed the gradient on the background, it kind of look better, look not as much as detached from the background as it was. Okay, so this is better. I like it better. And yeah, I see you use the cone, and that's why you probably got this too much white reflections, because this is a cone, right? Cone is like it's everywhere, and when you highlight one part of it, you get basically highlighting the whole thing, inevitably highlighting. Quick suggestion to you. What about getting black paper inside the cone? Just think about it. Piece of black paper, position somewhere to make stuff which should be darker to be darker. Okay? I'm not gonna tell you more. You're a smart guy, you know what to do. Okay? Thank you, Maxim. Good stuff. Okay. This is Tovach. Botvinnik. Tovach. Hopefully I'm right. I'm not good at names. I never were good at names. Never was good at names. Oh, my head. This spring is killing me, guys. It's already April and still cold, and it's like one day cold, next day is hot, and well. Okay, sorry, I just had a little bit have a little bit headache. So, Kiev camera. Yeah, my first camera was Smena Symbol, and then Zenit. Zenit was SLR. And Smena Symbol, I think it was the rangefinder, right? Okay, so you see, first it's a little bit tilted, I think. It's not horizontal. Then, let me move it. Then another thing that we have this nice clean background, black with nice reflection, and the camera itself is really old. Has a lot of scratches, and while it may look cool, but I think we need some props to shoot cameras like this to look nice. Think about propping on some old wood, maybe with some stuff which covered with dust, some spots, almost like light painting, some dark spots on the background, blurred, and this camera. It will look cool, like this. But here I'm kind of looking at, oh man, and first time start thinking about it needs to be cleaned here and there, but again, it's not like this is old camera and it shouldn't be new. But because you put it on that kind of background, I can always imply, oh, why it's not so clean. So this is the first thing. The shadows and highlights, you get some, edges, bright edges, kind of facets, right? And some darker areas. But in general, it's look a little bit flat, especially the metal parts. I would try to get the diffuser. The diffuser somewhere. Yeah, you have this diffuser. You have this diffuser in front of the camera, but I don't see what kind of light you got. And placing diffuser that far from the camera, it tells me that we're not gonna create the gradient on the. Yep, I see. On these areas, right? And I would use some diffuser next to the camera, let's say on the left, on the right, and I will try to create a little bit more gradient, a little bit more, contrast on those metal pieces of the camera. Okay, we had this critic, similar camera last time, right? You can watch it. And then lens. You don't have that sexy reflection on the lens, and I'm not saying that it must, but it's really cool. It's almost like, when you shoot models, some, fashion portraits kind of thing, and you don't have nice reflection on her eye or his eye. It's like, ooh, what's going on there? Same here. When we see the eye of the camera, we need to make sure that there is some nice reflection there. And, it always because of the, multi-coating or coating on optic, it will have some nice colors, which is kind of cool. So I would kind of work to make it happen on the lens. Okay? So this is my feedback on this. And thank you, Tovach. Glad you joined the. Oh, I see you online. I'm glad you joined Photigy. Let me go to the next one. Okay, the last for today, Naim. This I forgot to critique the shot last time, so let's go here. Perfume bottle with some strange subject on the right bottom of it. Sounds strange because it's kind of, for me, it's not really playing well there. So let me talk about the fragrance bottle. Fragrance. Perfume bottle. I like how you highlighted that flat panel. We see all the texture, we see all those shadows where it needs to be visible on that wordings and all this stuff. So it's really cool and it plays well with that digital background, with that line. Cool. Like already pointed, who told you about flow, right? Yeah, flow is right about fixing this little stuff in Photoshop. Because subject like this, when we have huge flat areas, all the lines should be perfect. So look at the top of your bottle. It's like this. No. I understand that's how it is, but that's what we do. What the retouchers of product photography, what they do, they make this all lines perfect. This way, I mean, everything on this side, same. It should be cleaned in Photoshop. It should be, make it perfect. So after that, it will be a really good shot. Well, it's good. It's just, things which can make it better. The ring, I understand it kind of look cool idea, and ring itself looks cool, but I would really prefer to see the gold ring there, really. Because it's more like, something dropped from other shot, from black and white shot. So, I don't know, really, gold ring with that nice diamond, they look really cool here. But now it's just detached. It's not like playing well together, for me at least. Yep, these areas, and I think it should be fixed on top as well. So, thank you, Naeem. Let me look at your lighting setup again. Yeah, you didn't use much of the diffusers. That's why we have relatively flat this front panel. I like it this way. It's cool. If I would shoot this, I would try to create some gradients, crazy gradients on it. I'm not sure if it will look better. You did probably this gradient in Photoshop, which is completely fine. But yeah, I would try, but not saying that it's bad. You see? So cool. Thank you, Naeem. And this is it. We're done. Again, guys. If you can send me your suggestions or feedback if you've been on last webinar, online webinar where we're shooting clinic shot, send me what you want to shoot next, and I'll create a pool, so we'll select. And I'm going to open the registration, and it will be early bird price with very good discount for the first week or so when registration open. And well, I'm looking forward to do some really cool shot. It may be liquid, it can be anything. I just, kind of losing myself in possibilities. Because, well, I showed the lighting setup, right? We have, well, not the lighting. We have all these 3 cameras, and it will be really cool. And I will work on the chat. I will make sure the chat will be better than Google Moderator, because looks like it can't handle that many people. When too many questions submitted, we lost some of the questions, and I'm sorry about it. I read it later when we're done, when I stop broadcasting. So it will be better, it will be even more interesting, and well, I work on improving stuff I do every day. So good luck to you and your photography. Stay tuned. Bye, guys.